Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share this fun, bold, bright fall card with you and its coordinating envelope. This card is part of my Step It Up series. It uses the Nuts About Squirrels Stamp set, and you'll see these 3 cards in the mini catalog on the same page. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how we made this card. Okay, I'm going to start with my sentiment, and I'm going to add a handle to this piece of cardstock. It's small, and so this will allow me to slide it into the punch a little easier. I'm going to follow along that track, flip it over. Oops, it slid out. Flip it over, line it up, and punch. And then I can simply slide that out again. There we go. I'm going to turn it to the side and bring in the Hey There stamp and stamp it right down the center in Early Espresso. There we go. The next thing I'm going to do is work on my panel here. So I'm going to take my squirrel and ink him up in the Early Espresso, and this is the squirrel with the little acorn, so I'm going to set him down here in the right hand lower corner. And then I'm going to bring in, let's see, my Sahara sand, and I'm going to pull this down a little bit better for me to view it. Since this is a 2-step, I'm going to line up his little ears, his feet, and his tail, and stamp. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in this little branch image in the Early Espresso, and I am going to place that to the left-hand side. I want to make sure I'm leaving some room here for my sentiment. And then I'm going to bring in the line image of my squirrel, ink them up in the Early Espresso again, and stamp. And then I'm going to bring in the 2-step image here, the solid, and my pumpkin pie, ink that up, line it up, and stamp. Last but not least, I want to add some leaves to my branch, so I'm going to bring in the line image and my leaf. And for this, I'm going to use my Cajun Craze, my Old Olive, and my crushed curry. I'm also going to bring in my chamois so that I can clean it off in between. But if you're going from light to dark, you can simply stamp this off on your grid paper if you would prefer, and keep going. So I'm going to add the little crushed curry leaf here, and then I'm going to move to the Old Olive and add that here. And then I'm going to add the Cajun Craze leaf right here. There we go. And now for the line image that I'm using the Early Espresso, I'm going to simply add that to all 3 of my leaves. Okay, now that I have my outside panel done, I'm going to bring in my inside panel, and I'm going to add some leaves down the side here. Let's see, so I need my solid image, and I am going to ink this up in the crushed curry first, and I am just going to add some random leaves running down the side. Clean that off, and then I'm going to come back, and let's say I'm going to turn this a little bit. I'm going to add some of my Old Olive leaves, and I'm just doing this randomly. There we go. And last but not least, I'm going to add the Cajun Craze leaves and add that pop of color going down that same side. And I think I'll put a little bit there also. So there we go. Our sentiment panel for the inside is complete. I think this is a lot of fun with the multicolors, pulling in the outside of your project to the inside. I'm going to bring in my Cajun Craze cardstock base here and fold it on the score line, and then I'm going to bring in 2 pieces of designer series paper. This is a beautiful package that is from our annual catalog, and it has these warm, rich, earthy colors, and they're perfect for this project. So I'm going to add this to the top here. And then I'm going to take the second piece and add it to the bottom. Now you could use either side depending on what you'd like, but I'm going to use this boulder pattern for this card. And then I'm going to bring in this beautiful piece of old olive. I've run it through my Cut and Stamp and Emboss with the Meadows Moments embossing folder, which has these wonderful leaves on it. I'm going to take some adhesive, and I'm using multi-purpose for this because I'd like for it to get in all those nooks and crannies of the dry embossing. And I'm going to add that right down the center of my card front. There we go. The next thing I'm going to do is add my panel here, and I'm going to add that with Stampin' Dimensionals. I want a bit of a shadow underneath this panel, and so popping it up with our dimensionals is a great way to add depth and shadow. Oh, I just realized I did not stamp the acorn on my little squirrel, so let's do that quickly before I adhere it to the card front. That way, if I make a mistake and it doesn't work, I can restamp. There's the bottom, and we're going to add the little cap. There we go. I love paper crafting. Mistakes are easy to correct. And we're going to now add this to the center. Isn't it great with all that color behind it? And I'm going to add my little sentiment here right across the leaves. Now I can support this outer edge with a dimensional, simply by tucking that on the edge, and then adding some adhesive to the side of my banner that'll go across my image panel. And I'm going to lower that just a little bit so that you can see the leaves as much as possible. There we go. I have my center panel that I can finish stamping and adhering if I'd like, or I can just tuck it inside so that it's ready to go when I need my card. This Step It Up series was taken right out of the mini catalog. You'll find it on the same page as the Nuts About Squirrels Stamp set. And I hope you'll take a look at all 3 cards in my Step It Up series. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.